You see it. 1111. And for an instant, the deafening noise of the world seems to surrender to a different kind of silence. It's not just a number on a device's display. It's a sigh, a subtle tap on the shoulder of your soul, a momentary reminder that there is something more operating behind the veil of consensual reality. But let's, for a moment, have the courage to look beyond the spark of magic, to the space that this number truly illuminates within you. Behind it, a silent anguish pulses, a hidden hunger for signs that becomes more intense, almost unbearable, precisely when the reality around you seems to have lost its meaning, when the pieces of your world no longer seem to fit. It's a feeling in the body, a subtle misalignment, as if you've been wearing shoes that don't fit for years, living a life that doesn't vibrate with your inner music, smiling in meetings while a part of you screams for silence and truth. You are not looking for a simple coincidence. You are, in your core, searching for an echo, a confirmation that you are not speaking alone into the vast hallway of the universe. You are not going crazy. You are just beginning to remember. This search, this hunger, is not a product of our digital age. It is ancient, almost as ancient as consciousness itself. It is engraved in the Akashic records of the human soul. The roots of synchronicity dive deep into the soil of history, where Carl Jung's concept of meaningful coincidence merely built a modern bridge, a safe passage between the intuitive wisdom of Hermetic philosophy and the labyrinth of our psychology. Hermes Trismegistus, the scribe of the gods, spoke of an invisible web that connects all things. The ancients did not see the world as a dead machine, but as a living, conscious organism, the anima mundi, the soul of the world. Jung, with his genius, simply gave us permission, a vocabulary, so that the logical mind of the 20th century could once again converse with this ancestral wisdom. He did not invent synchronicity. He merely named it for us, allowing us to take it seriously again. And science today, with its glimpses into neuroscience, helps us understand the mechanics. Our brain craves patterns. It is a survival mechanism, yes, but it is also the biological tool through which consciousness experiences itself. What science calls pattern recognition, ancient wisdom calls reading the omens of the world. The names change, the truth remains. And in this new landscape, in this temple of glass and technology, 1111 has been transformed into a modern sigil. A sigil, in esoteric tradition, is a symbol charged with intention and collective power. And that is exactly what we have done, unconsciously. We have charged these digits with our universal yearning for awakening, for purpose, for reconnection. It has become a psychic portal. But here, at this exact point of power, lies the first subtle warning, the first shadow to be integrated with compassion. The incessant search for signs, when not understood, can become a spiritual bypass, a sophisticated and dangerous form of escape. It's using spirituality as yet another anesthetic to avoid the pain of growth, the responsibility of self-transformation. It's waiting for the universe to give you a detailed map, so you don't have to take the risk of learning to navigate your own wild heart. The fascination with the sign can prevent us from becoming the sign ourselves. And this brings us to the threshold of our journey together, to the question that truly matters. What if 1111 is a door, but the real question is, where does it lead inside of you? So that we may truly heal our relationship with the universe's signs, we must first have the courage to sit in silence with the pain they distract us from. It is not an obvious pain, not a trauma that can be easily named. It is a silent and profound fracture in the foundation of our being. It's the feeling of being at a loud party, laughing and talking, but inside, a deafening silence reveals that you are completely alone. It's the low, constant hum that something is fundamentally out of place, a chronic dissonance between the life that others see and the truth that your soul feels. It is from this fracture, from this feeling of being a foreigner in your own life, that the desperate search for a sign is born. Any sign. A billboard with a word that seems to speak directly to you. A feather that falls before you on a windless day. And of course, the numbers that align on the clock. They become life rafts in an ocean of meaninglessness. We are not just looking for a sign. We are pleading for a rescue from ourselves. This feeling is not a character defect or a psychological flaw of yours. It is the manifestation of a universal archetype. It is the wound of the cosmic orphan, the cellular memory of an apparent separation from the source, from the all. In ancient traditions and myths, this was not seen as a pathology, but as the first necessary stage of the soul's journey, the call that comes through exile. The subconscious fear of chance, of chaos, that permeates our culture, is the modern manifestation of this exile. If everything is an accident, if there is no greater intelligence, no underlying purpose, then we are orphans in a mute and indifferent universe, and our existence is a meaningless fluke. The rational mind enters a silent panic at the possibility of being insignificant. That is why the hidden emotional wound is at its root that of feeling invisible to the universal consciousness. Each sign, then, becomes the momentary proof that the cosmic Father-Mother has not forgotten you. Each 1111 is a whisper that says, "I am still here, I see you." It is an attempt to heal with external evidence, a wound that is entirely internal. Let's look at the biochemistry of this search, at the mechanism that traps us. Every time you see 1111, your brain releases a spike of dopamine. It's a real and potent chemical relief. But dopamine, neuroscientists tell us, is the molecule of motivation and pursuit, not of satisfaction and contentment. It doesn't say, "We've arrived." It says, "Keep searching, you're on the right track." And that is why it becomes such a powerful addiction. The peak of relief and meaning is inevitably followed by an even deeper valley of doubt. Was that real? Or did I just imagine it? I need one more to be sure. And the vicious cycle perpetuates. The mind becomes a hunter, but a hunter addicted to the thrill of the chase, not the nourishment of the prey. And in this state, you become extremely vulnerable to all kinds of confirmation bias, seeing what you want to see, not what is truly there. You begin to force the connections, to twist reality so that it fits your need to feel special and guided. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a great canyon. Your silent pain, your feeling of separation, is a cry you send out into the void. Is anyone there? A sign, like 1111, is the echo of your own voice coming back to you. At first, hearing that echo is an immense relief. I'm not alone, you think. Then, fascinated, you start to shout again and again, just to hear the echo, addicted to the feeling of a response. You fall in love with the echo. But the true spiritual journey is not about talking with your own echo. The journey is about realizing you are the source of the cry, and then having the courage to descend to the bottom of the canyon to discover what lies there. The paradox is this. While you are busy and focused on shouting to hear the echo, you cannot hear the subtle music of the wind blowing through the canyon, the sound of the river flowing at the bottom, the other voices, the silent wisdom of the place itself. The more you search, the less you see. The external search for the echo prevents the internal discovery of the source. To emerge from this paradox of incessant searching and the addictive echo, we need to elevate our understanding. It is time to move beyond magical thinking and enter the sacred science that underpins it. Inside your brain, there is a network of neurons that acts as the guardian of the gateway of your perception. Science calls it the reticular activating system, RAS. Think of it as the maestro of your consciousness or the doorman of your reality. Every second, you are bombarded by millions of bits of sensory information, visual, auditory, tactile, but you only consciously perceive a tiny fraction of it. And what determines what passes through this gate? The answer is that which you, in your innermost self, consider important or relevant for your survival and well-being. It was you, with your deepest beliefs, your most ingrained fears, and your most intense desires, who wrote the rules at the door. At some point, you assigned an emotional meaning to the number 1111, and your internal system, loyal and obedient, began to highlight it amidst the noise of the world, saying, "Look, this is relevant to you. This is the mechanism, the how. But the real magic, the real science, lies in the cause. And the cause leads us directly to the first and most profound principle of the Kybalion, the law that governs all others. The all is mind, the universe is mental." This is not a poetic statement. It is a functional description of reality. This means that your reticular activating system does not find random patterns in the world. It finds in the outer world the perfect reflections of what your own mind is projecting onto the field of reality. Your mind, with its vibrational signature, composed of your dominant thoughts and, most importantly, your chronic emotions, generates a field. It is this field that gives the color, the brilliance, to the information that your cerebral guardian will select for you. You are not just finding signs, you are finding echoes of your own transmission. If the universe is mental, then reality is not a fixed stage, but a malleable projection. Synchronicity, then, is a moment when the projection flickers for an instant, a personal glitch in the matrix that reveals the projector behind the scene, your own consciousness. This is why ignoring your unconscious blocks cuts off your signal or distorts it completely. If your mind is chronically tuned to the frequency of anxiety or self-criticism, the field you project is tinted with these colors. The synchronicities you perceive, then, will be filtered through this lens, perhaps even appearing as catastrophic warnings or confirmations of your own unworthiness. All this internal noise sabotages the clarity of genuine synchronicity, mixing the pure, neutral message of the universe with the static of your own unresolved pain. Your wound becomes the filter through which you read the world. The sign is not the problem is the dirty lens through which you are observing it. So let's do something together, right now. A deeper mental audit, a practice of clarity. Wherever you are, just close your eyes for a moment. Allow your breath to deepen without effort. Now, without judging, without trying to fix or change anything, just witness what happens inside of you. Is there an incessant conversation in there? A compulsive planner, already thinking about tomorrow? a harsh inner critic reviewing yesterday's mistakes, a victim lamenting the circumstances, a fearful one predicting the worst-case scenario. Do not fight these voices. Just gently name them in your mind. Ah, there's the critic again. Hello. There's the fearful one. I see you. They are not you. They are programs, mental habits, like apps running in the background on your phone, consuming your vital energy and your battery. The first step to clearing your channel is not to fight the noise, but to become aware of its presence with radical compassion. It is in this space of silent witnessing that true listening can finally begin. Now that we understand the wound and the mechanics, we need to walk through a more delicate territory, a narrow and treacherous passage on the spiritual path, where many, with the best of intentions, get lost. It is the subtle shadow that hides behind the light of a sign. It is the moment when the genuine joy of feeling connected transforms slowly and silently into something dangerous. It is the almost imperceptible process of how the feeling of I see signs slides into the belief that I am special, I am chosen. This is the most seductive trap for the seeking soul. The point at which the ego, feeling threatened by the dissolution that the true spiritual path requires, tries to hijack the journey for its own purposes of survival and self-importance. It takes the sacred experience of synchronicity and turns it into a medal, a proof of its cosmic superiority. It creates what we can call a spiritual persona, a mask of light that hides a deep insecurity. The great master of the soul, Carl Jung, gave a name to this phenomenon. He called it psychic inflation. It's what happens when the little I, our everyday personality, appropriates energies and archetypes that are much larger than itself, like the archetype of the sage, the prophet, or the chosen one, and inflates, believing itself to be the very source of that energy. It is the spiritual ego disguised as cosmic destiny. It convinces itself that the signs are no longer humble guides for the inner work of purification, but confirmations of its spiritual superiority. The humility of being an eternal student of the universe is exchanged for the subtle arrogance of feeling like a favorite, a confidant of the gods. And the inflated ego is fragile, loud, and insatiable. It always needs more proof, bigger and more spectacular signs, more external validation to sustain its fantasy of grandeur. This is why true initiates, the wise ones of all ages, never boast about their signs. They receive them in reverent silence. For them, a sign is not a prize. It is more work. It is a directive to look deeper, to purify a shadow that has not yet been seen, to serve in a new and more humble way. A sign increases responsibility, not privilege. They understand that the energy of a synchronicity is a sacred gift, a fuel for transformation. And, like any precious fuel, it should not be wasted. They dissolve it into the silent practice of their daily lives, in the improvement of their character, in the expansion of their compassion, in their patience with others. They don't need to tell anyone, because the result of the sign is not a story to be told, but a quality of being to be lived. The real transformation is the proof, not the story about the synchronicity. And here is the ultimate red flag, the litmus test for your own journey. And it requires a brutal honesty with yourself. If you feel a compulsive need to show off your synchronicities, to post about them, to prove to others how connected you are, know, with all compassion, that you have already missed their essential point. This need for external validation is an energy leak. Instead of using the energy of that moment to catalyze an internal change, you release it into the air in exchange for a few moments of admiration or social validation. It's like receiving a gold ingot and trading it for chocolate coins. The need to prove that you have been touched by the divine indicates that the ego has taken control of the experience, and the sacred message, which was meant to be planted in the silent soil of your soul, has been lost in the noise of your own self-importance. If the ego's trap is the shadow, then the hermetic reversal is the light that dissolves it. This is where we stop looking to the sky for answers and start looking within, to the source of all questions and all answers. It is the great turning point that moves us from the position of a passive spectator of life to that of a conscious creator. And it begins with a radically empowering question. What if 1111 is not a message sent to you, but an exact reflection of you? This is the principle of the mirror in its purest and most unforgiving form. Any and all synchronicity that manifests in your outer world is a direct reflection of a state that already exists in your inner world. The sign is not the event. The event is you becoming aware of your own echo, your own reflection. The mirror of the world does not lie. It only shows what is in front of it. This is not a new idea. It is the essence of the deepest ancient wisdom, encapsulated perfectly in the great law of correspondence. As above, so below. As within, so without. Your outer world is a canvas onto which your inner world is projected moment by moment. Therefore, when you see 1111, the portal, the beginning, the opening, what is this vision reflecting about your inner state at that exact instant? What within you is on that threshold, asking to be born, to be seen, to be initiated? The universe is not talking to you. It is allowing you to hear yourself. And this law begins in the closest territory, your body. If your interior is in chaos and stress, your body, the first layer of the without, will show it in tension in your shoulders, in digestive problems, in chronic exhaustion. The law of correspondence begins in your skin, and it is here that many seekers stumble and fall. They ignore their mundane actions while waiting for divine signs, and they do not realize that this attitude fractures their energetic coherence, their vibrational integrity. Energetic coherence is when your thoughts, your words, your emotions, and your actions all point in the same direction, like four horses pulling a chariot in unison. When you think of peace, but speak with aggression in traffic. When you desire abundance, but your feelings are of scarcity. When you ask for clarity, but your actions are confused and procrastinated, you create dissonance. The four horses are pulling in different directions. The chariot goes nowhere. You create an energetic debt with yourself. Waiting for magical signs while living in this debt is like asking for a loan from the bank with bad credit. The universe, which is a system of energy and resonance, responds to integrity. The practical shift, the antidote to passive waiting, and the tool for building coherence is this. Align your micro-decisions with your highest intention. Stop looking for a sign and start being one. Make the way you answer an email your sign of clarity. Make the patience you have in the supermarket line your sign of peace. Make the brutally compassionate honesty you have with yourself when you look in the mirror your sign of truth. The choice to drink a glass of water instead of soda. The choice to make your bed in the morning. the choice to listen to a friend without interrupting. Each of these mundane and seemingly insignificant acts is a powerful declaration of alignment, of self-love, of integrity. When your actions begin to vibrate at the same frequency as the reality you wish to create, you no longer need to look for signs. You become the synchronicity itself, and the universe has no choice but to mirror the order, beauty, and clarity that now emanate from you. Now that you have become the mirror and understood the importance of polishing it, it is time to learn the technique. We move from understanding to action, from knowledge to wisdom embodied in the body. The proposal is simple, but its power is immense. Let's together transform the reactive and passive trigger of 1111 into a ritual of personal power, an act of conscious magic. From this day forward, every time the portal presents itself to you, it will no longer be an external event to be celebrated or questioned, but an internal call to be answered. This is your new sacred ritual. The instant your eyes meet 1111, you stop. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, you grant yourself the gift of a sacred 10-second pause. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Feel the weight of your body in the chair. Become a pillar between heaven and earth for an instant. You take a deep breath, bringing the air into the center of your being. And then, in the silence of your mind, you ask yourself the most important question, the question that recalibrates. What am I broadcasting to the universe in this exact moment? In this single act, you perform the most powerful alchemy. You exchange passive hope for conscious recalibration. You cease to be the child waiting for a gift outside the window and become the master of the house who adjusts the atmosphere of the internal environment. Your energetic posture fundamentally changes from "please send me an answer" to "I am, right now, adjusting my frequency to become the answer." It is a silent declaration of spiritual sovereignty. You are no longer at the mercy of signs. You are using signs as programmed reminders to return to your center of power, to realign your thought, your emotion, and your energy with your truest intention, with who you truly came here to be. It's like tuning an instrument in the middle of a concert. The orchestra of the world keeps playing, but you pause for an instant to ensure that your note, your contribution, is clear and harmonious. To make this practice even more potent, and to engrave it into your nervous system, let's anchor it in the body with what we can call a neurosymbolic hack. You will associate the 1111 trigger with a tangible anchor, something your body can feel, because the body learns faster and more deeply than the conceptual mind. It bypasses the inner critic. Choose an anchor that resonates with you. It could be a specific breathing pattern, like inhaling for a count of 4, holding for 4, and exhaling for 6, instantly calming your nervous system. It could be a mudra, a subtle hand gesture that for you means alignment or presence, like joining the thumb and index finger. It could be a gentle touch on the center of your chest, over your heart. Or it could be a silent mantra, a single word you repeat internally, like clarity, peace, presence, or trust. Choose one anchor and be faithful to it. And why does this work with such surprising effectiveness beyond esotericism? Because focused, conscious repetition reconfigures your neural circuits faster and more durably than passive desire. Every time you see 1111 and perform your small ritual, You fire and wire a specific set of neurons together. You are, literally, building a new neural highway in your brain, like clearing a path in the woods. At first, it's difficult. It requires conscious effort. But with each pass, the path becomes clearer, wider, easier to follow, until it becomes a default path, a habit. You are teaching your brain and your body to enter a state of alignment on command. You stop waiting for the miracle and start building the neurological structure for alignment to become your natural state of being. When you begin to practice conscious recalibration, when you transform the sign into a ritual, you access an even deeper mystery. You begin to intentionally interact with the very fabric of reality. This leads us to the domain of quantum probability and possibility. And here is the crucial distinction that changes the game forever. You are not attracting things into your life. The idea of attraction still places you in a position of separation, as if you are here and your desire is over there. The truth, as mystics and now quantum physicists tell us, is that you are aligning. All possible realities already exist as potentialities in the quantum field. You are, at every moment, adjusting your internal frequency to resonate with the frequency of one of these already existing realities. By aligning, you collapse that possibility into your experience. You don't pull destiny towards you. You become the path through which one of your possible destinies can flow. Allow me to tell a story. So this moves from a concept to a truth felt in the heart. There was a man, let's call him Daniel, trapped in a life that didn't feel like his own. A prestigious corporate job that gave him money but drained his soul. That Sunday night, dread was his constant companion. He started seeing a number, not 1111, but another 44 everywhere. On the clock, on license plates, in the number of unread emails. At first, it was a comfort, then a curiosity. Using a method like the one we've explored, he stopped just looking and started asking, "What do I feel when I see 44? He didn't get an answer in words, but in his body. A strange feeling of structure, of solidity, of earth, of something that needed to be built with his hands. His internal monologue was of pure fear. This is crazy. I'm going to lose everything I've built, my status, my security. But the feeling of the 44 reminded him of something else. But what I have now is a safe prison. True security is in building something that is mine, that comes from my soul. He quit his job, facing the fear and judgment of his family, used his savings to learn woodworking, a forgotten passion from his youth. At first, he struggled. His hands were clumsy, he made mistakes, he almost gave up. But every time he saw the 44, he used it as his anchor, his ritual. He would stop, breathe, and remember the feeling of solidity, realigning his determination. He didn't find a new destiny. He built one piece by piece, plank by plank. And Daniel's story reveals to us the hidden and most liberating truth of all. Synchronicities promise nothing. They are not guarantees of an easy future or a prize you will receive for being spiritual. They are a request. They ask that you become the embodiment of what you keep perceiving. The universe does not respond to what you want. It responds to who you are. If you want love, you must become a space of love. If you want clarity, you must become a clear mind. Synchronicity is the ultimate test. It shows you what you need to become, and then it watches silently to see if you accept the challenge. If you see portals they ask that you become the courage to cross them. If you see symbols of balance, they ask that you become the balance in your relationships. If you see signs of freedom, they ask that you become the person who breaks their own chains. To assist in this process of becoming the scribe of your own story, there is a final tool, an instrument of inner alchemy, a conscious synchronicity journal. But this is not a place to simply record numbers and times. That would be merely collecting dead butterflies. Instead, call it your personal grimoire or journal of the inner alchemist. Each time a sign appears, you write down 3 things. First, the sign itself. Second, the external context. What were you doing, seeing, or who were you talking to? And third, the most crucial of all, your internal state. What were you thinking, feeling, fearing, or desiring in that exact instant? After a week, read your entries. You will see an undeniable pattern. You will see that the portal sign always appears when you are thinking about your freedom. The balance sign always appears after an argument. The journal does not decipher the sign. It deciphers you. It reveals the unique symbolic language that your higher self uses to communicate with you. And so, our journey, which began in the darkness of doubt and silent anguish, brings us back to the starting point, but with eyes capable of seeing what was once invisible. We arrive at the heart of the matter, at the final seal of this knowledge. We have moved through the wound of invisibility, navigated the trap of the ego, learned to polish the inner mirror, and to become the sign itself. Now, here, on the threshold of understanding, you realize that all of this was training for this moment of decision. And the conclusion brings us back to a fundamental hermetic reminder, the great master key, the law of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. A radio does not attract the music. It tunes itself to the frequency where the music is already playing, omnipresent in the air. You do not attract the signs. You, by changing your inner state, tune yourself to the frequency where the perception of that sign becomes inevitable. Signs like 1111 are feedback, a precise diagnosis of your current vibration. Understanding this in every cell of your body, the truth becomes clear and liberating. 1111 is a threshold, not a guarantee. It is an invitation to a dance, not a signed contract that assures you a happy ending. The door it symbolizes, no matter how bright and inviting, only truly opens when you decide to act in resonance. Seeing the sign is only the first step, the easiest one. The step that truly matters, the one that defines your destiny, is the one you take next in the physical world, with your choices, your words, and your actions. Without the corresponding action, the most luminous portal becomes just a decoration on the wall of your stagnation, a melancholic reminder of the path not taken. The energy of the invitation, when not accepted with an action, simply dissipates, patiently waiting for a new change of state to manifest once more. At this point, the immortal wisdom of Thoth, the scribe of the gods, Hermes Trismegistus, echoes through the millennia with a truth that is the key to all creation and all magic. As you speak, so you become. And understand in its depth that speaking is not limited to your voice. You speak with your thoughts. You speak with your emotions. You speak with every decision you make and every action you take. Our words have the power to spell, to cast spells that shape our reality. Each choice you make is a spell you cast, an instruction you give to the universe about who you have chosen to be in that moment. Therefore, each sign must give birth to a new word, a new choice, a new self. If the sign reflects the potential for peace, your next action must give birth to peace. If the sign reflects the need for courage, your next choice must embody courage. This is how one ceases to be a passive reader of signs and becomes a conscious co-creator of reality. And now, to close, I do not ask you for an answer. I ask you for a decision, a silent decision that only you and the cosmos need to know. The decision to stop being a spectator in your own life, waiting for permission or a map, and to take your place as the protagonist and the scriptwriter. What reality would you finally begin to shape if you stopped worshipping the number and started, once and for all, to embody its message? If this journey resonated in your spirit, leave a silent acknowledgement in the comments. An affirmation not for the world, but for your own soul. To continue on this journey of remembrance and awakening, we invite you to subscribe to the channel and to like this video. And remember, it's not about what you want, but about who you are.